The sound of a marriage ending isn't always a scream. Sometimes it's the screech of tires on wet asphalt, the crunch of metallic engineering folding like a broken accordion. And then, silence. I remember the argument. I don't remember what it was about. Margot had a way of making arguments out of thin air, spinning chaos from the lint in her pocket. But I remember the tone. Her voice was a serrated blade cutting through the hum of the engine. I was crying. I was always crying in the last year. I had looked at her, just for a second, to plead with her to stop, to just let us get home in peace. That was when the headlights washed over us. Then came the pain. A crushing weight against my chest. The smell of gasoline and copper. I couldn't move my head, but I could see Margot. She was slumped against the steering wheel, untouched by the carnage that had pinned me. But she was looking at me, her eyes were open. She wasn't dead. She was looking at me with that same look of profound disappointment she wore when I burned the toast. As the darkness rushed in to swallow me, my last thought wasn't of love or regret or God. It was a terrifyingly clear realization. She is going to blame me for this too. I gasped, my lungs expanding so violently my ribs cracked. Or at least, I thought they did. I sat bolt upright, clawing at my throat, the phantom sensation of shattered glass still stinging my skin. I was screaming, a high, thin sound that died as soon as my eyes adjusted to the light. Sunlight. Soft, morning sunlight filtering through sheer linen curtains. I wasn't in a wreck. I wasn't in a hospital. I was in bed. Our bed. The Egyptian cotton sheets were cool against my legs. My hands were trembling, but they were whole. No blood, no bruises. I brought them to my face, patting my cheeks, checking for the scar I had gotten on my chin 3 months ago when Margot threw a wine glass near my feet. Smooth skin. Elise? The voice made my blood freeze. It was a reflex, Pavlovian and pathetic. My stomach dropped and my shoulders hunched. I turned my head. Margot was stirring beside me. She looked soft in the morning light, her blonde hair tousled, her face relaxed in a way it rarely was when she was awake. She reached out a hand, resting it on my hip. "Bad dream, baby," she mumbled, her voice thick with sleep. "You were making noises." I couldn't breathe. I scrambled backward, falling off the mattress and hitting the hardwood floor with a thud. Margot sat up frowning. "Elise, what the hell? You're acting crazy." I looked around the room. It was different. The painting above the vanity, a bleak, abstract piece Margot had bought without asking me, was gone. In its place was the old watercolor I had painted of the coast. The one she made me take down because it clashed with the aesthetic. I scrambled to the nightstand and grabbed my phone. October 14th, 2021. The car crash happened in November 2023. I stared at the screen until the numbers blurred. 2 years. I had gone back 2 years. Or I was in a coma dreaming of the past. Or I was dead, and this was hell. "Elise, seriously," Margot sighed, flopping back onto the pillows. "It's Sunday. Come back to bed. You know I hate it when you're manic before I've had coffee." I looked at her. Really looked at her. In 2021, we had been married for 3 years. The abuse had been insidious then, a slow drip of poison I mistook for medicine. I thought she was helping me. I thought her critiques were for my self-improvement. I thought her isolation of me was romantic protection. But looking at her now, with the memory of my death fresh in my mind, the veil was gone. I didn't see my beautiful, successful, charismatic wife. I saw a predator resting between kills. I need water," I croaked. I ran into the bathroom and locked the door. I stared at myself in the mirror. I looked younger. There was still a light in my eyes that she hadn't fully extinguished yet. My hair was longer, before she convinced me to cut it into that severe bob I hated. I died, I whispered to the reflection. I died to get away from her. I turned on the tap and splashed cold water on my face. Whether this was a second chance, a hallucination, or a divine intervention, one thing was absolute. I was not going to die in that car again. The first week was a masterclass in dissociation. I moved through the house like a ghost, observing the life I used to live. It was terrifying how easy it was to see the trap now that I knew the jaw was going to snap shut. "Are you wearing that?" Margot asked on Tuesday morning. We were in the kitchen. She was drinking her green juice. I was buttering toast. "Yes," I said. It was a floral dress. I loved it. "It makes you look a bit frumpy, doesn't it?" She smiled, that tight, pitying smile. "I just mean, we're meeting the developers today. I want you to look sharp. For us." In the first timeline, I would have rushed upstairs, changed into the grey suit she liked, and apologized for embarrassing her. I would have felt gratitude that she cared enough to correct me. Now, I just took a bite of toast. "I like this dress, Margot. The developers are hiring me for my design eye, not my tailoring." The silence that followed was heavy. Margot put her glass down. She blinked, processing the glitch in her programming. Elise Vance didn't talk back. Elise Vance aimed to please. "You've been acting strange all week," she said, her voice dropping an octave. "Is there something you want to tell me?" "No," I lied. "Just stressed." "Well, don't take it out on me," she snapped, grabbing her keys. "I do everything for you, Elise. Try to show a little appreciation." She left. I waited until I heard the garage door close. Then, I exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. I went to my home office. In 2021, I still had my freelance graphic design business. By 2023, Margot had convinced me to quit because it was too much stress, and she made enough money for both of us. That had been the final nail in the coffin of my independence. Once I had no income, I had no voice. I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. It was a joint account. Margot watched the finances like a hawk. If I bought a coffee, she knew. If I saved a penny, she knew. I needed a war chest. I remembered something. A job I had turned down in November 2021 because Margot said it would require too much travel. A contract with a boutique hotel chain. They had offered a 50% deposit up front. I found the email in my drafts folder. I hadn't sent the rejection yet. I typed a new reply. "I accept. Please deposit the funds to the following account." I spent the afternoon setting up a new bank account at a different bank, entirely online using my maiden name and a P.O. box I rented 3 towns over. When Margot came home that night, she brought flowers. Lilies. My favourites, she claimed. I was allergic to lilies. She knew that. She always forgot. "For you, darling," she said, kissing my cheek. "Sorry, I was snappy this morning. I just want you to be your best." "Thank you," I said, placing the poisonous bouquet in a vase. "I love you, Elise," she said, watching me closely, her eyes searching for the crack in my armour where she could insert the hook. "I know," I said. I didn't say it back. She narrowed her eyes but didn't press it. She sensed the shift, the resistance. It made her try harder. That night, she was affectionate, attentive, charming. It was the love-bombing phase. I recognized it now. It used to work. It used to make me feel like the sun was shining on me alone. Now, it felt like a spotlight in an interrogation room. I needed allies. Margot had methodically pruned my life of everyone who wasn't ours, and ours meant hers. Julianne, my best friend since college. Margot had driven her away a year ago, claiming Julianne had made a pass at her. I believed Margot. I cut Julianne off without even asking for her side of the story. God, I was an idiot. I sat in my car, 2 blocks away from Julianne's apartment, my heart hammering against my ribs. If Margot found out I was here, the fallout would be nuclear. I texted her. I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I'm outside, please. 5 minutes later, Julianne came out. She looked wary, her arms crossed over her chest. She walked to the car window. You have 3 minutes, Elise. She lied, I said. I didn't waste time with pleasantries. Margot lied about you hitting on her. I know that now. She lied to isolate me. Julianne's expression shifted from anger to shock. Took you long enough to figure that out. I'm leaving her, I said, but I need help. I need a lawyer who isn't in her pocket, and I need a place to store documents where she can't find them. Julianne studied my face. She saw the desperation, the exhaustion, and the strange, hard resolve that hadn't been there before. She opened the car door and got in. Drive, she said. We can't talk here. We went to a diner on the edge of the city. I told her everything. Well, almost everything. I didn't tell her I was a time traveler. I told her I had an epiphany, a moment of clarity where the abuse became undeniable. I'm scared, Jules, I admitted, my hands shaking around a mug of tea. She's smart. She's charming. Everyone loves her. If I just leave, she'll destroy me. She'll turn everyone against me. She'll drain the accounts. She won't let me go. So, we make her let you go, Julianne said, her jaw set. We build a case. We get proof. Proof of what? Emotional abuse is hard to prove in court, Julianne said. But financial abuse? Fraud? Infidelity? I froze. Infidelity. Julianne sighed. Elise, I tried to tell you this back then. The reason Margot hated me wasn't because I hit on her. It's because I saw her at the Regency with a brunette, someone who definitely wasn't a client. The Regency. In the first timeline, Margot went there for business drinks every Thursday. A cold fury settled in my gut. It wasn't heartbreak. I was past heartbreak. It was ammunition. I need to get into her phone, I said. The dance continued for 3 months. I played the part of the dutiful wife, though I dialed down the submission just enough to keep her off balance. I took the design job. When the money hit my secret account, I felt a rush of power better than any drug. Margot hated the job. You're working too much, she'd say, standing in the doorway of my office. You're neglecting us. I'm contributing to our future, I'd reply, not looking up. You're distant, she accused one night over dinner. Are you having an affair? Projecting. It was textbook and painfully, lethally obvious now. Don't be ridiculous, Margot. Let me see your phone. My heart stopped. I handed it to her. I had a burner phone for Julianne and the lawyer. My real phone was clean. She scrolled through it, checking texts, emails, call logs. She found nothing. She handed it back, looking unsatisfied. I just worry, she said, reaching for my hand. I love you so much. I get jealous. I know, I said. 2 days later, I got my chance. Margot was in the shower. She usually took her phone into the bathroom, but she had left it charging on the nightstand. I knew her passcode. She hadn't changed it yet. I unplugged it and ran to the closet, burying myself under the winter coats. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. I went to her texts. Nothing. Deleted. I went to her call logs. Clean. I went to her hidden folder in the photo app. Password protected, I tried her birthday, incorrect. I tried our anniversary, incorrect. I tried her social security number, incorrect. The shower turned off. Panic seized me. I was going to get caught. Think, Elise. What does she love? Who does she love? Herself. I typed in the date she won the Entrepreneur of the Year award. The folder opened. I didn't look at the pictures. I didn't want to see them. I hit select all and airdropped them to my burner phone, which was hidden in the pocket of my robe. The transfer bar moved agonizingly slow. Elise? Margot called out from the bathroom. Can you get me a towel? Coming, I yelled, my voice cracking. The circle completed. Sent. I deleted the transfer record. I wiped the phone down on my robe to remove fingerprints. I ran out of the closet, placed the phone back on the charger, and grabbed a towel from the linen closet. I walked into the bathroom just as she was stepping out, dripping wet. Here, I said, handing her the towel. She looked at me, then at the nightstand. Did my phone buzz? I didn't hear anything, I said, pretending to look. She stared at me for a long second. The water dripping from her hair sounded like a ticking clock. You look flushed, she noted. It's hot in here, I said. She smiled. Join me? I have a headache, I said, turning away. I met the lawyer, a shark named Mrs. Sterling. In a basement office Julianne found. She looked at the photos, the bank statements I had managed to download, and the journal I had started keeping of every insult, every gaslighting attempt, every threat. This is good, Mrs. Sterling said. The infidelity clause in your prenup, which I assume you signed under duress, but we can argue that later, is airtight. If she cheats, she forfeits her claim to your premarital assets and owes alimony. These photos, she grimaced, they are explicit and date-stamped. Is it enough, I asked. Is it enough to make her stop? It's enough to bury her, Sterling said. But you know how these narcissists work. She won't go quietly. She will try to destroy your reputation. She will lie to your friends, your family, the court. I don't care about my reputation, I said. I just want out. Then we serve her, Sterling said. When do you want to do it? I thought about the timeline. In the original timeline, the crash happened on our 5th anniversary, November 12th. We were going to dinner. She had been drinking. I had been crying. It was November the 10th, 2021. In 2 days, I said, on our anniversary. I wanted to do it in public. Margot cared about her image more than anything. She wouldn't scream at me in a crowded restaurant. The days leading up to it were surreal. I felt like a spy in my own life. I packed a go bag and hid it in the trunk of my car. Not the car we would take to dinner, but my old sedan she hated. I transferred the rest of my personal savings to the new account. On the morning of the 12th, I woke up with a sense of calm I hadn't felt in years. Happy anniversary, baby, Margot said, rolling over to kiss me. I let her. It was the kiss of Judas, but I was the one betraying her this time. Happy anniversary, I said. I booked a table at Le Bernardin, she said, and I have a surprise for you. I have a surprise for you too, I said. The day dragged. Margot was in high spirits. She posted a photo of us on Instagram with the caption, 3 years down, forever to go. My rock, my soulmate. #blessed. I watched the likes roll in. Hundreds of people validating a lie. It used to make me feel guilty, like I wasn't grateful enough. Now, it just looked like propaganda. We dressed for dinner. I wore the red dress she bought me. It was tight, restrictive. It was armor. We took her car. The Porsche, the same car that in another life would be wrapped around a telephone pole in 2 years. She drove fast. She always drove fast. "Slow down, please," I said, gripping the door handle. "Relax, Elise. You're such a nervous passenger lately." She sped up, testing me. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just stared out the window and visualized the divorce papers sitting in the envelope in my purse. We arrived at the restaurant. The maitre d' greeted us by name. We were seated at a prime table. Margot ordered a bottle of wine that cost more than the sedan I had parked nearby outside. "To us," she said, raising her glass. "To the truth," I said, clinking my glass against hers. She paused, the glass halfway to her lips. "That's an odd toast." "Is it?" She took a sip, her eyes scanning the room to see who was watching. "So, your surprise first, or mine?" "Yours," I said. She reached into her clutch and pulled out a velvet box. She slid it across the table. I opened it. Diamond earrings, heavy, ostentatious, cold. "They match your eyes," she said. "My eyes are brown, Margot. These are sapphires." "They match the sadness in your eyes," she corrected smoothly. "I know you've been struggling lately. I want you to know I see you. I'm here to fix you." Fix me, as if I were a broken appliance. "Thank you," I said, snapping the box shut. "Your turn," she said, smiling expectantly. I took a deep breath. Then I reached into my bag. My hand brushed the manila envelope. This was it, the point of no return. "I didn't wrap it," I said. I pulled out the envelope and placed it on the table, right on top of the bread plate. Margot looked at it, then at me. Her smile faltered just a fraction. "What is this? Tickets? A deed?" "Open it." She picked up the envelope with manicured fingers. She slid a nail under the flap and tore it open. She pulled out the papers. "Petition for dissolution of marriage." The silence at the table was deafening, though the restaurant bustled around us. Margot stared at the words. Her face went blank. All the warmth, all the charm, all the artificial light drained out of her, leaving something hard and grey. She didn't look at me. She read the first page. Then she flipped to the second. Then she laughed. A short, dry sound. "Is this a joke?" she asked, looking up. Her eyes were dead. "No." "You're divorcing me?" She kept her voice low, but the venom was there, hissing beneath the surface. "On our anniversary." I thought it was poetic. "You ungrateful little bitch," she whispered. She leaned in. "I made you. You are nothing without me. You have no money. You have no friends. You think you can just walk away." "I have money," I said calmly. "I have Julianne. And I have a lawyer." "Julianne?" She scoffed. "That slut? And what lawyer would take you on against me?" "Mrs. Sterling." Margot flinched. She knew the name. "And," I continued, keeping my voice steady despite the adrenaline flooding my veins, "I have the photos." Margot froze. "What photos?" "The Regency, room 402, October 4th, October 18th, November 1st. I recited the dates. "And the texts to Consultant Sarah." Margot's face turned the colour of ash. For the first time in 3 years, I saw genuine fear in her eyes. Not fear of losing me, fear of losing control, fear of exposure. "You hacked my phone," she hissed. "That's illegal." "Prove it," I said. "The photos are with Sterling, along with the logs of the joint account where you've been funneling money into your private LLC. That's embezzlement, Margot." She stared at me, her mouth slightly open. She looked at the woman she thought she owned, the broken doll she played with, and found a stranger. "Why?" she asked. The question seemed to baffle her. "I gave you everything." You gave me a cage, I said, and I'm done. I stood up. My legs felt like jelly, but I stood tall. Sit down, she commanded. It was the voice she used on her employees, the voice she used on me when I tried to speak during movies. No. Elise, if you walk out of here, I will ruin you. You already tried, I said, then I added softly, it worked once, but not anymore. I turned around. Elise, she barked, loud enough that heads turned. I kept walking. I walked past the maitre d', past the coat check, out into the cool night air. It was raining, just like the night I died. I heard the door bang open behind me. Elise, get in the car! Margot was running after me, heedless of the rain ruining her silk blouse. We are going home, and we are going to talk about this. She grabbed my arm. Her grip was making the skin bloom like the center of a lily, purple and poisonous. Let go, I said. You are my wife, she screamed. The mask was fully off now. Her face was twisted in a snarl of rage. You don't get to leave until I say you can leave. She dragged me toward the Porsche. I looked at the car. Wet black metal, sleek and deadly. It took a car crash and for me to be reborn to finally wake up. I wasn't going back in that car. I stomped on her instep with my heel. Hard. Margot shrieked and let go, hopping on one foot. I am not your wife, I said, my voice rising, finally matching the storm inside me. I am the person who survived you. I turned and ran. I ran toward the parking garage where I had parked my sedan earlier that day, unbeknownst to her. Elise, she screamed, you'll be back. You're weak. You can't survive on your own. I reached my car. My hands were shaking so hard, I dropped the keys. I scrambled to pick them up. I looked back. Margot was standing in the rain watching me. She wasn't chasing me anymore. She looked small. I got in. I locked the doors. I started the engine. As I pulled out onto the street, I checked the rearview mirror. She was still standing there. I didn't turn toward the house. I turned toward the highway. The rain lashed against the windshield, blurring the city lights into streaks of neon. I gripped the steering wheel. My knuckles were white. I was crying, huge, heaving sobs that tore from my throat. But they weren't tears of despair. They were the tears of a fever breaking. I remembered the prompt of my life, the narrative I had been trapped in, fighting for us. I had fought the hardest battle of my life. I fought the version of me that wanted to stay. I fought the fear. I fought the history. I fought for us, the us that was just me, whole and singular, not to repair myself for her, but for the divorce that would separate us for good. I drove for hours. I didn't know exactly where I was going, but for the first time in 2 lifetimes, I knew I was going to get there alive. I touched the passenger seat, empty. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. I turned up the radio, drowning out the sound of the rain, and drove into the future I had snatched back from the dead. The road ahead was dark, but my headlights cut through it, steady and bright. I was awake, and I was finally free.